Juraj Slafkovsky, the first overall pick in the 2022 NHL Draft. A kid into whom the Montreal Canadiens put enormous faith, but at the same time pressure that most people his age could never handle. But while Slovaks were celebrating their new national hero, the reality in the NHL was completely different. In his first season, Slafkovsky often looked confused, lost pucks, and at one point it seemed like he just couldn't keep up. We're talking about a player who was selected first overall. Many fans and experts started saying he should rather develop in the farm league. Some even labeled him as invisible. And that led people to the question, did we overrate him? Even though he shined at the Olympics, where he became the top scorer of the entire tournament, his performances in club hockey were far less impressive. In the Finnish league, he barely scored a few goals and struggled to make an impact. But scouts fell in love with his size, his skating, and his potential. And Montreal said, "We're taking him." From that moment, everything changed. Slafkovsky was supposed to be the new leader. Everyone knew it would be a marathon, not a sprint, but expectations were enormous. Yet his first year in the NHL showed him harsh reality. He had trouble keeping up with the pace, and just when it looked like he was starting to adapt, came an injury and the end of the season. So what does it look like with Slafkovsky today? Why do so many people think he will be another wasted talent? And most importantly, does he still have a chance to meet those huge expectations? We'll look at all of that in today's video. Before we continue, don't forget to subscribe. That way you won't miss new videos, and it really helps me a lot. Thanks. Juraj Slafkovsky was born in Košice but grew up in a smaller nearby town. He loved hockey from a young age, but his path wasn't exceptionally paved. He was just an ordinary Slovak boy who loved the ice, had a big frame, and could impose himself with strength. But when you're 13 playing in Slovakia and really want to make it far, you have to go abroad. And Juraj knew that. So came the first big step, the decision to move to Austria. At age 14, he slept alone in a dormitory, spoke a language he barely understood, and for the first time got used to a completely different routine. He started to discover what life looked like for a young hockey player away from home. After 3 months, Juraj moved to the Czech Republic, specifically to Hrad Králové. The reason was the quality of the league, which was much tougher and faster in the Czech Republic. And there he literally tore up the league, scoring 56 points in 29 games. But that was only the beginning. The next season came another important move, to Finland, to the TPS Turku club. And this was already serious. Finnish junior hockey is tough and fast. It's full throttle from the first minute, and those who can't keep up simply disappear in the crowd. His first season with the U18 team ended with 52 points in 39 games. That was a clear signal he was ready for the next level. The second year he started with the U20 team. It wasn't a disaster, but it also wasn't anything special. In 16 games he managed 8 goals and 5 assists. These were definitely not scary numbers. And at that moment, fans didn't see him as a future NHL star. But this is where what set him apart began to show. Slafkovsky kept improving. He quickly understood what he needed to change and worked hard on himself. Physically he was always strong, but the main progress started happening in his head. In every practice, in every game he learned something and slowly grew. In his third season, he already got a chance with the senior team. He started to be noticeable, pushed himself into scoring chances, played more actively. And even though he recorded only 5 goals and 5 assists in 31 games, it was clear that something was changing. While other young players his age were racking up points in junior leagues, Slafkovsky was aiming higher, at the international stage. And that's where something happened that literally changed his entire career. At that time, most of the hockey world still didn't know much about him. Everyone was talking more about other prospects. But then came the 2022 Beijing Olympics. Slovakia sent an extremely young team to the tournament, and Slafkovsky was the youngest player of the entire championship. Most people expected him to just soak in the atmosphere, gain experience, and maybe play a few minutes on the fourth line. But the very first game against Finland changed everything. Slovakia lost 2-6, but it was Slafkovsky who scored both goals. He was strong, fast, and most importantly confident. In the end, he scored an unbelievable 7 goals in as many games. He was named the tournament's top scorer and MVP and was selected to the All-Star team. And Slovakia? They won a historic bronze, the country's first Olympic medal ever. And this was no accident. Slafkovsky scored goals from different positions, played on the power play, and wasn't afraid to use his body. Suddenly everyone started talking about him, scouts, commentators, and fans. Out of nowhere, he became one of the most watched young players in the world. Just a few months before the draft, his name was rising higher and higher. While other young players were building their reputations in junior leagues, Slafkovsky excelled against men on the biggest stage possible. And thanks to that, he earned a strong position in the draft. Even so, there was still speculation about who would be the first pick. Logan Cooley had great offensive skills. Shane Wright had been considered the clear favorite for years. But Slafkovsky had just had a brilliant Olympics, strong physical parameters, and a European style of play that NHL scouts were increasingly drawn to. In July 2022, Juraj Slafkovsky's dream came true. The Montreal Canadiens selected him first overall in the NHL Draft. For the young Slovak, this meant entering a whole new world, the most famous and toughest hockey league in the world. And the pressure? Enormous. Montreal, after years of glory and success, was going through a crisis. The 2021-22 season was one of their worst in decades. They struggled in the standings, lost often, and desperately sought new faces to lift the team back to the top. Fans were impatient, and the pressure on the organization and players was massive. Choosing Slafkovsky made sense, a young, big, and physically ready player with huge potential who was to be the foundation of a new era for the Canadiens. Montreal longed for a symbol of change, a player who would represent a new beginning. But the first steps in the NHL weren't easy. Slafkovsky struggled to adapt to the speed, toughness, and physical demands of the games. He came from Europe, where the game is slightly different, and suddenly had to face the best players in the world. The stats from his rookie season weren't very convincing, just 4 goals and 6 assists. For a first overall pick who was the top scorer at the Olympics, much more was expected. It's important to add, though, that he played only 39 games that season. The reason was a serious lower body injury that ruled him out for the rest of the year. And it came just when it looked like he was slowly getting used to the league. On top of that, in those 39 games he didn't get much ice time either, averaging only 12 minutes and 13 seconds per game. Even so, in some moments he showed why Montreal drafted him first. He could create chances, stepped up in key moments, and his physical dominance was clearly visible. Coaches and teammates praised his work ethic and determination, even though the results didn't come right away. Juraj is a young player who learns every day. I see that he works hard, never gives up, and tries to understand what the NHL demands. That's what I expect from him as a coach, to be hardworking and want to improve. And he really does that, said head coach Martin St. Louis. The Montreal Canadiens ended up 15th in the Eastern Conference, showing the team still had a long way to go. The second NHL season was very important for Juraj Slafkovsky. After a tough rookie year marked by injury, he finally had the chance to show that his talent and hard work were no coincidence. And also prove that he could handle the pressure that constantly weighed on him. Many people began speculating that maybe he made a mistake by staying in the NHL right away instead of developing in the minors. There was even an NHL article asking, should Slafkovsky start the season with the Canadiens? Mike Morreale, a respected expert and reporter focusing on young players, said, "It wouldn't surprise me if Slafkovsky got a few games with the Canadiens at the start of the season, but he should be learning and developing in the AHL." But that didn't happen. And one of the main reasons Slafkovsky didn't go to the AHL was head coach Martin St. Louis. He insisted that the young Slovak continue his development directly in the NHL. Meanwhile, Montreal tried to find stability, building the roster around young players and aiming to improve results. Slafkovsky became one of the main pillars of that process. In the 2023-24 season, Juraj played all 82 games, without major health problems. His improvement on the ice was clearly visible. His stats improved, he added more goals and assists, and overall he was more impactful and noticeable. His physical play, always his strong suit, remained prominent, but he also gained more composure with the puck and better reading of the game. I see big progress in him. Juraj is no longer just that young guy with great potential. He's already a player who can help the team every night. But the process is still ongoing, commented his coach. Montreal finished the season 15th in the Eastern Conference, far from the playoffs. But Slafkovsky recorded 20 goals and 30 assists, which was a significant improvement. His performances became a beacon of hope for fans who dream that he'll help bring the Canadiens back to where they were in the 1970s, among the league's best teams. After the season, the Ice Hockey World Championship was held in the Czech Republic, and Juraj Slafkovsky, as a key player of the Slovak national team, naturally couldn't miss the tournament. Slovakia finished fourth in Group B, which secured them a place in the knockout stage. But there they ran into powerhouse Canada, which crushed them 6-3. Still, Slafkovsky didn't leave a bad impression at the championship. In 8 games he tallied 8 points and was the second highest scorer on the Slovak team. The 2024-25 season meant another step in his development and confirmed that he was becoming a true pillar of Montreal. With the experience of previous years, Slafkovsky felt more confident and his game grew more complete. The Montreal Canadiens, still working on stabilizing the team, showed better performances this time, and Slafkovsky was one of the players contributing to it. That season he played nearly all games and his stats improved again. He recorded 18 goals and 33 assists, confirming his growing influence on the team. His physical strength remained a major weapon, but he also added more creativity and better game-reading ability. He was often seen in key moments of games, where he could decide or set up chances for teammates. Slafkovsky also stayed true to his work ethic and continued working hard, which helped him overcome his initial struggles. Juraj is now really showing why we put so much trust in him, commented the head coach on his development. Montreal finished 8th in the Eastern Conference and after 3 years finally returned to the playoffs. But their run ended quickly when they were eliminated in the first round by the Washington Capitals. So this was the story of a boy from Košice who became the #1 draft pick. Some fans claim that in a few years he could end up on the list of wasted talents. Whether they're right, we don't know yet. Yes, the first season was tough, but Juraj improves every year. And one thing is certain, his story is far from over. Write me in the comments what you think about Juraj Slafkovsky. If you liked the video, hit that subscribe button. Thanks and see you next time. Bye.